I thought releasing a small mobile game was going to be simple, then Apple showed me how wrong I was. Let me show you all the lessons that I learned so that you hopefully don't have to make them yourself. The first thing that comes to mind when I'm thinking about things that I learned when I published my game to the Apple App Store is that you learn a lot of new things. That's the first thing I learned. Making a game and releasing a game are two completely different things. And actually releasing a game and all the things that comes with actually releasing a game itself is actually a skill in its own. There are so many things you have to learn about releasing a game that you're never going to actually learn if you aren't releasing a game, because to actually learn something we need to do that thing like I talk about on this channel. Like for example, when I added ads in the game, like mobile ads, it's only rewarded ads, it's not forced ad, but when I added the rewarded ads, I had to learn how to do that. I had to learn everything from like hooking it up to the button, like all these things, and actually playing it, what happens when you like the ad fails to play. I had to manage all these different things, and I also had to manage like the personalization. So for example, when you open a mobile game, you get this prompt where you want to accept or reject, and you just click accept, like it doesn't really matter. I had to implement that, and I had to like handle everything so that I didn't like violate any like policies or like Europe policy, whatever, things like that. I had to do everything, and I had to like make sure that the code was completely safe and I didn't like do anything illegal. All these things, like a lot of these things are all already like automatic inside of the Unity ads package, but also a lot of the things you have to do manually. Like for example, when the user presses reject, or like before I even show the prompt, I have to make sure that I don't make like a user ID and I like started tracking before they click accept, and I have to be very cautious that it actually follows what I say. So there's like a lot of new things that I learned. Like I didn't know anything about this before I made this mobile game and I actually released it. Like sure, I could just make the mobile game, but then I wouldn't add the ads and I wouldn't actually know if they worked and if they were safe. I only knew they were safe and they worked after the app got accepted by Apple, which is very like cautious about things just like this like tracking and all these things. And I also had to learn how to use the packages for like Apple. So for example, Apple, what they do is that they upload a package to GitHub, which is specifically for like iOS things. So they have like a package for the haptics, like adding vibrations to the game. They have like a package for adding game center and all the things that comes with that, like the challenges, the leaderboards, all these things that you can add into the game. These are different packages. The thing with the packages is that you have to implement them into your own game. It's not like you just install them and then you just write game center.initialize and then everything works. That's actually not the case. You have to implement it in both App Store Connect, which is the website or the app that you use to like actually upload the game, manage the settings, all these things. You actually have to make it inside your own code, inside of Unity. You have to implement it into there. That's the most, it's the hardest part. And also you have to implement it into Xcode. You have to add the frameworks and enable GameKit, all these things. There's a lot of new things that you have to do. Like I spend days like just figuring out how everything works. So when I'm making my second game right now, it's going to be, or not right now, but when I'm making my second mobile game, it's going to be much quicker because I have all these things figured out. What Apple did is that they even had like a very, very big critical bug inside the package that they uploaded. First of all, they used a lot of like deprecated things, like so I get a lot of warnings inside my Unity console, which is quite weird. But also it doesn't even work on like devices that don't have the newest update. So everything else would just crash and they wouldn't tell you anything about that. It's so stupid. Like I spent days, like this is not my code, this is like a known issue on the GitHub, which is not fixed. Is that the game just crashes if you don't have the newest update. And I thought this was like my own code, I had to like figure out everything, but that's just how the Apple plugin is. So what I did was that I had to disable GameKit altogether for everyone not on the newest iOS version, because there was like literally a game-breaking bug inside of the package. So the app would just crash if I didn't, and there's nothing I can do about it. Or I could like reverse engineer the like entire package, but I'm not going to do that. They should just release something that works, but they didn't, so it's kind of annoying. But these are things that I just learned, like the package can have errors in itself, so don't spend days just trying to figure out something that you can't even fix. That's another thing I learned. And the last thing I'll say about this point is that I also learned a lot about things that I should learn. So things that I should learn in the future and things that I should get better at before making my next mobile game. That can be, for example, like something that I really want to get better at, or actually learn how to use because I've never used it before, is inside of Unity there's something called UI Toolkit. I want to get better at using that because I know the UI can be much better if I use that instead of the built-in Unity UI, because the built-in UI system is like horrible. It's not good. It doesn't look good at all. Like, I think I did a good job with what I could, like added like some glow effects and like the layout is kind of nice, but it's not like pretty. It's just okay. So that brings me to my next point, which is that playtesting takes a lot of time. Like, it takes a lot of time. And this is more App Store specific, but because when I'm making my Android version right now, it's not that hard, and I'm going to explain to you why. Because on Apple, you probably heard this before, that you need a Mac computer to upload a game. But it's not that you just need a Mac computer to actually upload the game, you actually need a Mac computer to actually test the game itself. So since I'm using a Windows computer for my like main programming, like inside of Unity, I don't even have the project on my Mac itself, like the Unity project. What I have to do is that I have to, every time, I have to first build the Xcode project on my Windows. I have to connect an SSD into my Windows PC. Then I have to connect that SSD into my Mac. I have to download something that to make the ads work. And then I have to import the plugins again inside of the Xcode project. After that, I have to open the Xcode project. I have to connect my iPhone. I have to do like some things with the frameworks and stuff. And then I can finally build the game just to test it once. It's a whole process. Like, it takes like 10 minutes every time I want to just do something. And when you're working with like issues or things like that, it's very annoying that you have to do this, like convert it to your Mac, everything. It's very annoying, super annoying. But that's not even the worst part. Like, the worst part is that to even test the game on other devices, like to even test the game, not publish it, just test it, you need Apple's approval for it. You can't even test the game without Apple's approval, which is probably going to take a few hours, maybe even a whole day, 24 hours before you get. And as I said, this is very App Store specific, because on Android, you don't have like a specific PC that you have to buy to just test the game. What I have to do with my Android is that I simply connect it to my PC via a USB-C. I just build the game. I can even connect my Android directly, so it just updates the game on my Android directly. And I can just open the game. Simple as that. That's everything I need to do. So on Android, much easier. I like that much more. So that's something to definitely keep in mind when you're making your first game, especially if you want to release it to iOS. You have to have a Mac. It's going to take a lot of time, and obviously you also need an iPhone to test the game. You actually don't need an iPhone, but you need to test the game. The third thing, which is more about like game design, this is very interesting, a very interesting thing to note. And it's also probably going to be very helpful if you want to make a mobile game yourself. And that's going to be that small details make a big difference. For example, I used ChatGPT to get like a few ideas on the game design. Told me like a few specific things that I had to like really focus on to make this a good and fun and addicting game. And one of the things was that instead of having like a specific button that you have to press to retry, instead of having that, I just made the entire end screen that you can press anywhere to retry. And this is like such a easy thing to do, but it's extremely, it makes a huge difference. Because like, for example, when I die inside of a game, like even myself, when I just die simply, I sometimes accidentally press the retry button, or like it's very easy to press it because you can just press it anywhere. I even accidentally press it, or I just press it out of intuition, and the game just restarts, and then I think, oh, okay, I'm just going to do like one round and then I'm done. It's like a constant loop. But if I had that button there, like the small amount of friction that I need to have like a specific button, this wouldn't happen, and the average playtime would be like way down, and it would be like just a lot less intuitive to actually retry and play the game even more and longer. And this is a lesson that Flappy Bird did really well. Like, to retry a game in Flappy Bird, it's very, very easy. Just tap one thing and you're in. It's extremely easy, and that's something that I nailed inside of this game as well. It's a small detail, very easy to implement, takes like 5 minutes, and or not even 5 minutes, it's gonna take like 1 minute because you just change the button to be a panel instead of a button. Extremely easy to do, and it makes a huge difference for the replayability and the playtime. And also, like, there were a lot of polishing things that I did at the end of the project when I was about to release the game, where it was, for example, like adding a satisfying gem pickup sound effect, like the gem pickup dissolve effect, like particle effect, the gem counting animation when you are on the end screen, the game is done, and the sound effect that comes with that, and the haptics. Like, all these small details makes a huge difference to make the game feel extremely nice. But I recommend when you're making your first games, you shouldn't focus a lot on these things, because it can take a lot of time to just polish the game, and like, you aren't going to learn a lot from like polishing and things like this. But at the end of the project, when you are done with like the core mechanics and everything, I think it's very nice to do polishing things, because it's going to make the game feel so much nicer. Also, a quick thing that I'm going to mention is that if you want to learn more from my mistakes and make your own game development journey to releasing your first game as easy and quick as possible, then you can join Smart Indie with the first link below. With that said, let's move on to the most interesting point of this entire video. And that's going to be that it's very rewarding to publish your game, even though you aren't going to get a lot of revenue. So let's talk about money. I'm just going to say it, ads doesn't pay well. You probably heard this before. It's true. Ads pay horrible. You aren't going to get any more with ads, especially like banner ads and these forced ads. You aren't going to get any revenue at all from that. Rewarded ads, actually much better, but still not a lot. So let's walk through the numbers. A lot of my ads and users are going to be in Europe and in Norway, where the average eCPM, which is the amount of money that you get per 1,000 ads, is quite high. It's actually really high. It's $22, which is like over like the top of the range. It's really good because all my ads are rewarded, and they're in Norway, and I use mediation, which is basically where a lot of networks, they compete to give you the best price. But even with a $22 eCPM, which is awesome, you aren't going to earn anything from that. Let's go through the numbers. So if I, for example, were going to make $100 from this game a month, you can probably guess how many rewarded ads, which is like 30 seconds to 1 minute. How many of those do I need to make $100 a month? Well, it's not going to be 100. It's not going to be like 1,000. It's not going to be 3,000, not even 4,000. It's going to be 4,500 rewarded ads just to make $100 a month. You could probably do the math if you just took 100 times 22 or whatever, but either way, 4,500 to make $100 a month. You aren't going to earn anything from ads. Like, even if I wanted to make $1,000, like some amount of significant revenue, I would need 45,000 rewarded ads. Rewarded ads are quite long as well. Like, it's not going to happen. Like 45,000, it's a ton. So the reason why I did this was not because of the revenue, honestly, but it's still very rewarding to publish on App Store, because it's very, very accessible. Like, when I have my game on both App Store, which I think is like 20-30% of the market share, I might be wrong, but something like that, and Google Play, which is like 70%, like basically 100% of everyone with the phone can download the game, and it's extremely accessible. It has a lot of reach. Everyone can download the game. Like, even my grandma downloaded it. Like, this is something that you wouldn't be able to do if you just had a PC game. Like, your grandma can download a PC game. They're not going to go on itch.io and like unzip the file and like do all these things. With the mobile game, it's very accessible. People are like, it's a quite like low friction to download the mobile game, especially on Google Play, which I'm working on right now, and not so much in App Store. But either way, the conversion rates on App Store is like extremely high. It's like 20% of the people that watch your page is going to download the game. So it's extremely high, it's very accessible, like everyone in the world can download the game if they want to, or if the game appears in their feed, which is quite likely actually, because the organic growth on the app stores are going to be quite high, much higher than something like itch.io, maybe even Steam. Like, I didn't have any paid marketing at all. I just told some friends and some family, and the game was even top 100 under action on the App Store. Like top 100 in the entire Norway, not the world, but entire Norway. I think that's actually a win. So you can see that there's a lot more organic growth on the app stores than it is, for example, on itch.io, which makes it very rewarding that you don't have to pay like a lot of money to get people to play your game. People are going to play your game if it's a good game, because obviously the app stores are going to, or maybe not obviously, but the app stores, they track how long you play the game, how often it crashes, metrics like that. So if you have a game that people play for a long time, then it's going to get pushed like just organically without paying anything if you have a good game. It's the only thing it takes. So if you want to learn more about actually learning game development, making your first game, if you are a beginner, you're probably going to have a lot of problems in your learning, like tutorial hell, the restart spiral, and so on and so on. I'll cover everything on this channel, so I'd really appreciate if you subscribed. And also, you're probably going to get a lot of value from this channel if you are a beginner in game development, because I've made all the mistakes that you can possibly make when you are making your first game, and that's exactly what this channel is all focused about: releasing and publishing your first game as quickly as possible and actually making it good and having fun throughout the process. So with that being said, thank you for watching this video.